Captain Jake Morrison stood at the big window of his spaceship, looking out at the stars. His ship, the USS Vengeance, was the newest and strongest warship that humans had ever built. It was big, fast, and had enough weapons to fight a small war. Jake had been a soldier for 20 years, and he knew how to smell trouble from far away. 3 months ago, aliens had come to Earth. They called themselves the Zelthani people. They looked like tall, thin humans, but with gray skin and big, black eyes. Their leader was named Vextel, and he spoke perfect English. He said his people were peaceful traders who traveled from planet to planet, making friends and doing business. At first, everyone on Earth was excited. Finally, humans were not alone in the universe. The aliens brought gifts and showed amazing technology. They could travel faster than light, and their computers were much better than anything humans had. The world leaders met with the aliens and signed peace papers. Everyone thought this was the start of a new age for humanity. But Jake Morrison did not trust them. Something about the aliens felt wrong. They asked too many questions about Earth's military bases. They wanted to know how many people lived in each city. They were very interested in Earth's gold, oil, and other valuable things. When Jake asked his bosses about this, they told him to relax and be happy about the new friendship. Now Jake stood on his ship's bridge, watching his crew work. Commander Lisa Brooks sat at the communications desk, listening to radio signals from space. Lieutenant Ben Rodriguez was at the weapons control station, making sure all the guns were ready. Dr. Amy Wells, a scientist who studied aliens, was reading reports about the Zelthani visitors. Admiral Ryan Carter walked onto the bridge. He was the top military leader for all human space forces. Ryan was an old soldier like Jake, and he also felt something was wrong about the aliens. For weeks, Ryan had been moving ships and soldiers to protect Earth, but he did it quietly so no one would notice. Jake, Ryan said, our space telescopes found something strange. The Zelthani ships that left Earth last week never went back to their home planet. They are hiding behind the moon with more ships. Jake felt his heart beat faster. How many ships, sir? At least 50 big warships, maybe more? They have been gathering there for 2 weeks. Dr. Amy Wells looked up from her computer. Admiral, I have been studying the Zelthani language and culture. I found something terrible in their history files. They have visited 17 other planets before Earth. Every single one of those planets is now empty. No people live there anymore. Lisa Brooks suddenly stood up from her chair. Sir, I'm getting a message from the Zelthani ships. They want to talk to all humans on Earth. Put it on the main screen, Jake ordered. The big screen at the front of the bridge turned on. Ambassador Vextel appeared, but he looked different now. His friendly smile was gone. His black eyes were cold and mean. Behind him, Jake could see other Zelthani wearing military uniforms and carrying weapons. Humans of Earth, Vextel said in his smooth voice. The time for pretending is over. Your species has been chosen to serve the great Zelthani Empire. You will work in our mines and factories. You will grow food for our people. You will do whatever we command. Jake felt anger rise in his chest. The aliens had lied to everyone. They were not peaceful traders. They were conquerors who wanted to make humans into slaves. Vextel continued talking. Do not try to fight us. We have technology that is hundreds of years ahead of yours. Our ships are faster and stronger. Our weapons can destroy your cities in minutes. If you surrender now, we will let most of you live. If you fight, we will kill everyone who resists. The alien pointed at the camera. You have 1 hour to surrender. Tell your leaders to broadcast a message accepting our rule. If you do not, we will begin attacking your biggest cities. This is your only warning. The screen went black. The bridge was quiet for a moment, then Ben Rodriguez spoke up. Sir, our sensors show the alien ships are moving. They are coming around the moon toward Earth. Admiral Ryan Carter walked to the center of the bridge. Jake, send a message to all human military bases. Tell them to prepare for war. Lisa, contact the president and other world leaders. Let them know the aliens were lying from the beginning. Dr. Amy Wells was typing fast on her computer. Admiral, I am looking at the data from those 17 empty planets. The Zelthani did not just conquer them. They used up everything valuable and then left the planets to die. The air became poisonous. The water became dirty. Nothing can live there now. Morrison looked out at the stars again. In the distance, he could see tiny lights moving. Those were the alien warships coming to attack Earth. He thought about his wife and children back home. He thought about all the people on Earth who had trusted the aliens and believed their lies. Ben Rodriguez called out, "The aliens are powering up their weapons. They're targeting our space stations first." Admiral Ryan Carter nodded. "All ships, this is Admiral Carter. The aliens have shown their true face. They want to make us slaves and destroy our planet like they did to 17 other worlds. We will not let this happen. All units, prepare for battle." Jake Morrison turned to his crew. "You heard the Admiral? This is not going to be easy. Aliens think we are weak and stupid. Think we will give up without a fight. They are about to learn that humans do not give up. Ever." Lisa Brooks looked at her captain. "Monsieur, should we try to negotiate with them? Maybe we can make a deal." Jake shook his head. "Dr. Wells just told us what happened to 17 other planets. The aliens do not make deals. They take what they want and destroy the rest. There's no point in talking to them." The first alien attack began. Lights flashed in space as the Zelthani ships fired on human space stations. On Earth, people looked up at the sky and saw the explosions. The war had started, and there was no going back. Jake Morrison stood tall on his bridge. The aliens thought humans were just another weak species to conquer. They were about to discover that Earth had created something they had never seen before. Humans were fighters, survivors, and predators. The Zelthani had made the biggest mistake of their lives by coming to Earth. With lies and threats, the real fight was just beginning. General Sam Hayes sat deep underground in a military bunker in Colorado. The command center was filled with computers, maps, and soldiers working day and night. 3 weeks had passed since the aliens started their attack on Earth. The Zelthani thought they would win the war in a few days, but they were very wrong. Sam looked at the reports coming in from around the world. The aliens had landed in every major city on Earth. They brought big machines and thousands of soldiers. But something strange was happening. Instead of surrendering like the aliens expected, humans were fighting back everywhere. Colonel Danny Walsh came into the command center. His uniform was dirty and torn. He'd been leading soldiers in street fights against the aliens in New York City for 2 weeks. General Danny said, "The aliens are getting confused. They keep sending messages asking why we will not give up. They say other planets surrendered after the first day of fighting." Sam smiled. "That is because those other planets were not like Earth. They were peaceful worlds where everyone lived easy lives. Earth is different. We have been fighting wars for thousands of years. We know how to survive when things get bad." The big screen Sam could see reports from cities around the world. In London, humans were using old subway tunnels to move. Soldiers, without the aliens seeing them. In Tokyo, people were making bombs in their homes and attacking alien patrols. In Mexico City, farmers were using hunting rifles to shoot alien flying machines out of the sky. Captain Kelly Stone walked into the command center. She was a pilot who flew the new stealth fighters that the aliens could not detect on their sensors. Kelly had shot down 12 alien ships in the past week. General Kelly said, "I just got back from a mission over Los Angeles. Aliens are pulling back from the city center. They are setting up camps outside the city instead of trying to control the streets." Sam nodded. "They are learning that humans do not fight like other species. We do not have big armies that meet in open fields. We hide, we attack, we disappear, and we attack again. The aliens do not know how to fight this kind of war." Lieutenant Alex Turner was working at a computer nearby. He was a young soldier who was very good with technology. Alex had been studying the alien ships and weapons that humans had captured. General Alex said, "I have been listening to alien radio messages. They are calling Earth a death world. And humans, impossible creatures. They say, we are too aggressive and dangerous." Sam laughed. "Death world. I like that name. Earth made us strong because life here is hard. We have earthquakes, hurricanes, diseases, and dangerous animals. We have ice ages and volcano explosions. Any human who lives to be an adult is a survivor. Dr. Amy Wells was working with a team of scientists in another part of the bunker. She'd been studying the aliens that humans had captured in battle. Amy discovered that the Zelthani came from a planet where everything was safe and easy. They never had to fight for food or shelter. They never had natural disasters or dangerous weather. General Hayes, Amy said over the radio, the aliens are physically weak compared to humans. Their bones break easily. They cannot run fast or fight hard. They win battles by using better technology, not by being better fighters. Sam thought. About this. The aliens had better ships and weapons, but humans were stronger, faster, and smarter in battle. The Zelthani expected to fight other aliens who were weak like them. Instead, they found predators who had spent millions of years learning how to survive and kill. Major Chris Parker led a group of Marines who were fighting aliens in the desert outside Las Vegas. Chris had been a soldier for 15 years and had fought in many wars. He knew how to use the land and whether to help his troops. General Chris said over the radio, the aliens cannot fight in the desert heat. Their equipment breaks down and they get sick. We have been attacking them during the day when it is hottest. They are retreating to the mountains where it is cooler. Sam looked at the battle maps on the wall. All over Earth, humans were using their knowledge of the planet to fight the aliens. In the Arctic, soldiers were using the cold weather to freeze alien machines. In the jungles, fighters were using the thick trees to hide from alien sensors. In the oceans, submarines were sinking. Alien ships. Colonel Danny Walsh pointed to a report on his tablet. General, we just intercepted another alien message. Ambassador Vexthal is asking his commanders why the humans will not surrender. He says the other 17 planets gave up after losing a few battles. Sam stood up and walked to the big map of Earth. Red dots showed where battles were happening. There were hundreds of red dots, and more appeared every hour. Danny, send a message to all our forces around the world. Tell them the aliens are getting scared. They expected to fight weak creatures who would give up easily. Instead, they found humans. We are not weak, and we do not give up. Captain Kelly Stone looked at the reports from her pilots. General, my fighters shot down 30 alien ships today. The aliens are flying in smaller groups now. They are afraid to send big formations because we keep destroying them. Sam nodded. The aliens made a big mistake. They thought technology was more important than fighting spirit. We have better ships and weapons, but we have something they do not understand. We have the will to fight no matter what happens. Lieutenant Alex Turner found something interesting in the alien communications. General, the aliens are calling for help from their home world. They say they need more soldiers and ships to defeat the humans. Sam smiled. Good, let them bring more ships. We will capture them and use their own weapons against them. Every alien ship we take makes us stronger. Dr. Amy Wells came back with more information about the alien prisoners. General, the aliens are very afraid of us. They say humans are Deathworld predators who cannot be defeated. Some of them are asking to surrender individually. Sam thought about this. The aliens had come to Earth thinking they would easily conquer another weak planet. Instead, they found a world full of creatures who had evolved to be killers and survivors. Every human was a warrior who had been trained by millions of years of evolution. Listen carefully, Sam said to everyone. In the command center, the aliens are learning that Earth is not like other planets. We are not like other species. They're hunters, fighters, and survivors. The aliens picked the wrong planet to attack. The war was far from over, but Sam could see that the tide was turning. The aliens were no longer attacking. They were trying to defend themselves against human attacks. The hunters had become the hunted, and the aliens were finally understanding what they had awakened on the death world called Earth. The Vex home world hung in space like a diseased eye. Once it had been a beautiful planet with blue oceans and green continents. Now it was a writhing mass of organic matter, its surface covered in breeding pits and hive structures. Billions of Vex crawled across its surface like insects on a corpse. Admiral Kate Morrison stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the planet through the main viewer. Around her, the largest human fleet ever assembled waited for orders. Every ship bristled with weapons designed to end worlds. Final scan complete, her science officer reported. The planet's core has been completely replaced with organic matter. The hive mind is distributed throughout the entire planetary mass. Estimated Vex population, Morrison asked. Approximately 50 billion mature forms, with uncounted billions more in various stages of development. Morrison felt the weight of what she was about to do. 50 billion lives? Even if they were monsters, they were still lives. But if these creatures lived, how many trillions would die across the galaxy? All ships, this is Admiral Morrison. Shay announced over the fleet channel. Today we end this war. Today we make sure no other species has to face what we've faced. Remember why we're here. Remember what happens if we fail. Commander Pete Johnson watched the tactical display from his position in the fleet formation. Vex had not been idle. Thousands of bioships surrounded their homeworld, creating a defensive wall that seemed impossible to break through. Sir, his weapons officer said, we're detecting massive energy buildup from the planet's surface. They're preparing some kind of weapon. Before Johnson could respond, the planet's surface erupted in light. A beam of pure energy lanced out toward the human fleet, striking the destroyer Falcon. The ship simply ceased to exist, vaporized in an instant. They've turned their entire planet into a weapon, Johnson realized. All ships, evasive maneuvers, don't let them get a clean shot. The human fleet scattered using their superior speed and maneuverability to avoid the planet's devastating weapon. But they could not stay away forever. They had to get close enough to deploy their own planet killers. Captain Lisa Ford led the bomber wing toward the Vex homeworld. Her ships carried the most dangerous weapons humanity had ever created. Antimatter warheads, quantum torpedoes, and something new that the scientists called gray goo nanobots that would consume all organic matter they touched. Bomber wing, this is Ford, she called to her pilots. Remember your training? We only get one shot at this. Make it count. The Vex bioships swarmed toward the bombers like angry wasps. The creatures had evolved specifically to stop threats like this. Ships were fast, deadly, and designed to overwhelm any enemy through sheer numbers. Fighters cover the bombers, Johnson ordered. Whatever happens, those bombers have to reach their target. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human fighters engaged Vex bioships in deadly dogfights among the debris of ancient battles. Ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light. Pilots died with their hands on their controls, fighting to the last second. Captain Ford's bomber fought through the swarm, taking hit after hit. Her ship was falling apart around her, but she kept flying. Behind her, the other bombers followed, their crews knowing they were flying into death but doing it anyway. Ford to Morrison, she called over the radio. We're not going to make it. Through conventionally, request permission to implement protocol extinction? Morrison closed her eyes. Protocol extinction was humanity's final option. It meant using the bombers themselves as weapons, flying them directly into the planet's core, and detonating their antimatter payloads manually. Permission granted, she said quietly. God forgive us all. Ford smiled grimly. You heard the Admiral, boys. Time to show these bugs what Deathworlders do when we're angry. The remaining bombers dove toward the planet's surface. The Vex threw everything they had at them, but the human pilots had stopped caring about survival. They cared only about completing their mission. Ford's bomber was the first to penetrate the planet's crust. She flew through caverns filled with Vex larvae, past breeding chambers that stretched for miles. The creatures tried to stop her, but nothing could stop a human who had decided to die for something important. This is Captain Ford, she broadcast to the fleet. Tell my family I love them. Tell them I died free. She detonated her antimatter. Payload in the heart of the planet's core. The explosion was followed by others, as the remaining bombers reached their targets. The Vex homeworld began to shake itself apart on the planet's surface. The hive mind felt pain for the first time in its existence. The explosions were tearing through its neural networks, severing connections that had existed for millions of years. It tried to adapt, to reroute around the damage, But the humans had been thorough. The quantum torpedoes detonated next, their exotic matter warheads creating tears in space-time itself. The planet's gravity began to fluctuate wildly, mountain-sized. Chunks of the surface broke away and fell into the void. Finally, the gray goo nanobots activated. They spread through the planet's organic matter like a virus, consuming everything they touched and replicating themselves exponentially. The Vex tried to fight them. The nanobots had been designed specifically to destroy organic matter. Admiral Morrison watched the Vex homeworld die. It took 6 hours for the planet to completely collapse in on itself, its matter consumed by the nanobots or torn apart by the space-time distortions. When it was over, nothing remained but a cloud of glowing particles. Across the galaxy, the Vex swarm felt the death of their homeworld. A hive mind that had connected them all for millions of years simply stopped. Individual Vex found themselves alone for the first time, their instincts telling them to feed and breed, but with no central intelligence to guide them. Most went insane. The few that retained some sanity fled to the darkest corners of the galaxy, where they hid and tried to forget what they had seen. The great swarm was broken forever. It's over, Morrison announced to her fleet. The Vex are finished. Victory came with a price. The human fleet had lost 40% of its ships and 60% of its personnel. Thousands of the best and bravest humans had died in the final assault. The galaxy was safe, but at a terrible cost. President Jack Hamilton addressed the Galactic Council from Earth via quantum communication. The alien leaders listened in stunned silence as he explained humanity's philosophy of warfare. "We did what we had to do," he said. "We became monsters, so you didn't have to. You took the burden of ending the Vex so your children could sleep safely. That's what Deathworlders do. You fight the wars that others cannot fight." Crystal Singer. Zeph9 spoke for the council. "We are grateful for your sacrifice, but we must ask... what happens now? What role will humanity play in the galaxy?" Hamilton considered the question carefully. "We established the Terran Defense Corps, a joint military force to protect the galaxy from threats like the Vex. We share our knowledge of warfare with those who want to learn. And we make sure that when the next crisis comes, the galaxy is ready. And if we refuse this arrangement," the Aquari leader asked. Hamilton's expression hardened. "Then you'll face the next crisis alone. We won't force our protection on anyone. But we won't stand by and watch innocent species die when we could have prevented it." The council voted to accept the human proposal. The Terran Defense Corps was established with Commander Johnson as its first director. Human military advisors were assigned to alien fleets. The galaxy began to learn the harsh lessons of Deathworld warfare, but the victory was not complete. Deep in the void between galaxies, automated Vex scout ships detected the destruction of their homeworld. They turned their sensors toward the galaxy that had destroyed their creators. Analyzing the threat, their final transmission was a warning, broadcast across the cosmic void to any Vex colonies that might still exist in distant galaxies. The message was simple. Avoid the third planet of the yellow star. The Deathworlders have awakened. They cannot be stopped, cannot be reasoned with, will destroy everything that threatens their pack. 6 months had passed since the aliens first attacked Aoth. The message traveled at the speed of light toward distant galaxies, carrying news of humanity's emergence as a galactic power. Other species, other threats, would learn to fear the creatures from the blue world. On Earth, life continued much as it always had. Children played in parks, lovers walked on beaches, and families gathered for meals. Most humans never knew that. Their species had just become the galaxy's most feared protectors. But in the depths of space, human patrol ships continued their endless watch. They monitored the dark between stars, listening for signals, watching for threats. The galaxy slept peacefully, protected by creatures who had learned long ago that sometimes the only way to preserve peace was to prepare for war. Admiral Morrison stood in her new office at the Galactic Defense Station, looking out at the stars. She thought about the pilots who had died, the ships that would never return, the price of victory. But she also thought about the billions of lives that would continue because of their sacrifice. Kate approached with a report. Ma'am, we're detecting some unusual signals from the Andromeda galaxy. They appear to be artificial. Morrison sighed. The galaxy was vast, and humanity was still learning what lived in its darkest corners. 1 year after the war began, Admiral Jake Morrison stood in the ruins of the Zelthani capital city. Human soldiers patrolled the empty streets, while alien civilians hid in their homes. The great Zelthani Empire that had conquered 17 worlds was finished. Their military was destroyed, their government had surrendered, and their people waited to learn their fate. Captain Kelly Stone walked through the abandoned alien parliament building with a team of soldiers. The building was huge and made of beautiful crystal, but it was empty now. All the alien leaders had either fled or been captured. Kelly found rooms full of records showing the crimes the Zelthani had committed across the galaxy. Admiral Kelly said over her radio, "We found the main computer systems. Dr. Wells was right about everything. The aliens kept detailed records. Of every planet they destroyed and every person they killed, the numbers are worse than we thought." Jake Morrison stood in what used to be the alien emperor's throne room. The throne was made of gold, stolen from conquered worlds. Around the room were statues and artwork taken from the 17 dead civilizations. Each piece represented a species that no longer existed because of Zelthani greed. Dr. Amy Wells worked with a team of scientists to catalog all the evidence of alien crimes. Amy had spent months studying the records and interviewing alien prisoners. She had learned the full scope of the Zelthani Empire's evil. "Admiral Morrison," Amy said, "the aliens did not just kill people quickly. They kept slaves alive for decades, working them until they died from exhaustion. They took children from their parents and raised them to be servants. They destroyed libraries, temples, and museums to erase entire cultures from history." Ben Rodriguez monitored communications from the surviving alien colonies. Many Zelthani worlds had surrendered without fighting when they learned that their military was destroyed. Other worlds had tried to resist, but were quickly defeated by human forces. Admiral Ben said, "We are getting messages from alien colonies, asking what will happen to them. Some are offering to pay tribute if we let them live. Others are begging for mercy for their children." Jake thought about this. The aliens were asking for the same mercy they had never given to others. Jake remembered the empty planets he had seen during the war. He remembered the mass graves and the poisoned worlds where nothing could live anymore, Major. Chris Parker led the teams that were arresting alien war criminals. Chris had been hunting down the alien leaders who were responsible for the worst crimes. Many had tried to hide, but human soldiers always found them. Admiral Chris reported, "We captured the last of the alien generals." General Zeekmer was hiding on a mining colony at the edge of their territory. He was the one who ordered the destruction of the Altair system. 4 billion people died when they poisoned that planet's atmosphere. Jake nodded. "Good work, Major. Make sure he joins the others in the prison camps. They will all face trial for their crimes." The trials had been going on for months. Captain Tony Mitchell had been chosen to lead the military court that would decide the fate of the alien leaders. Tony was a fair man, but he had also seen the evidence of what the aliens had done to innocent people. Colonel Asa Brooks worked with teams of translators to interview survivors from the slave worlds. Many of the freed slaves wanted to testify against their former masters. The stories they told were horrible beyond imagination. "Admiral Morrison," Lisa said, "the survivors want justice. They have waited decades for someone to stop the Zelthani. They want to see their oppressors punished for what they did." Jake walked to the big window in the throne room and looked out at the alien city. The buildings were tall and beautiful, but they were built with wealth stolen from dead worlds. Every piece of metal, every crystal, every work of art had been taken from conquered peoples. Lieutenant Alex Turner was working with the human engineers to dismantle the alien military factories. Alex had become an expert on alien technology. During the war, now he was making sure the aliens could never build weapons again. Admiral Alex said over the radio, "We finished destroying the last weapons factory on the planet. All their military ships have been captured or destroyed. Their weapon designs have been erased from their computers. The Zelthani will never be able to threaten anyone again." Jake received a message that Ambassador Vextel wanted to speak with him one last time. The alien ambassador was being held in a prison camp with the other war criminals. Jake decided to hear what the alien had to say. Jake walked into the prison building where Vexel was kept. The alien ambassador looked very old and tired. His gray skin was wrinkled, and his black eyes were dull. The proud conqueror who had once threatened to enslave humanity was now just a broken old alien waiting for judgment. Human Admiral Vexthel said quietly, "I know you will not show mercy to me. I know I will be punished for my crimes. But please, consider the innocent Zalthani people. They did not make the decisions to conquer other worlds. They were just following orders." Jake looked at the alien with cold eyes. Following orders. That is what all war criminals say when they are caught. Your people enjoyed the wealth stolen from dead worlds. They lived in luxury while billions of slaves died in your factories. They are not innocent. Vextel nodded sadly. You are right. We all knew what our empire was built on. We all benefited from the suffering of others. We told ourselves it was necessary that we were bringing order to the galaxy. But we were just thieves and murderers. Jake thought about the 17 empty worlds he had visited during the war. Some were poisoned wastelands where nothing could grow. Others were stripped bare of all resources and left to die. All of them were monuments to Zalthani, greed, and cruelty. Vextel, Jake said, your people had a choice. You could have traded fairly with other species. You could have made friends instead of slaves. You could have built an empire based on cooperation instead of conquest. But you chose the path of violence and theft. The alien ambassador looked down. Yes. We chose wrong. We thought we were superior to other species. Thought might made right. Believed the strong should rule. The weak you have shown us how wrong we were. Jake stood up to leave. The trials will continue. Every Zalthani who participated in the conquest of other worlds will face justice. Your military leaders will be executed. Your government officials will spend their lives in prison. Your people will work to rebuild what you destroyed. As Jake walked away, Vexel called out one last time. Admiral Morrison, what will happen to the Zalthani species? Will you destroy us completely, like we destroyed others? Jake stopped and turned around. No, Vexel. We will not destroy your species, but you will never again have the power to hurt others. Your military is gone. Your empire is finished. Your people will spend generations working to pay for your crimes. Jake left the prison and walked back to his ship. The war was over, but the work of justice had just begun. The galaxy would remember what happened to the Zalthani Empire. Any species that thought about conquering others would remember the fate of those who had tried to enslave the humans from Earth. The aliens had pleaded for mercy, but they received exactly what they had given to others. Nothing. The Deathworlders had learned their lesson well, and the galaxy was a safer place because of it.